Ever since I've been looking forward to this one more. Buon pomeriggio, guys, good afternoon and welcome to Tortellino time. Yesterday I cooked gammon with chips or wedges and fried eggs. And as part of the process of cooking the gammon, I boiled it in water and I kept the water to make some beans pasta today. These are beans, Borlotti beans, which I have soaked for 36 hours and I have rinsed them 3 times in terms of fresh water, and I'm now going to show you how I cook them first with the gammon water, and then I'll show you how I make the pasta. I am using the water from the gammon, but of course if you're a vegetarian you can use just straight water, or you can make a vegetable stock if you prefer. I've added a bay leaf, something which you can add regardless if you're using gammon water or not, and everything is still cold, and I'll add all of my beans. And I'll turn the temperature on maximum and I'll wait until the water, or the stock in this case, reaches the boil. Always use cold water or cold stock when you're cooking something like this from scratch, because otherwise they would split. They're beginning to boil and I'll put the lid on and I'll turn the temperature down on medium-low, and I'll leave them for anything between 45 minutes to 1 hour. My beans did soak for 36 hours, and also I added some bicarbonate of soda to make them softer. So the likelihood is, my case, that they'll be closer to 45 minutes, but depending on what you're using, could be up to an hour. Also, if you are copying my recipe and you're using the gammon water, it's going to be very salty. So do not use any salt throughout this recipe, unless of course you're doing a vegetarian version and you are making your own stock, or you're using water, in which case you can add some salt now. In the meantime, while I wait for the beans to cook, I will prepare the rest of the ingredients and I'll show them to you so that we can make this video nice and quick. Okay, let's run through the ingredients. Hopefully I haven't forgotten anything, but if I have, I'll pick it up later. So let's start with the soffritto. I have chopped a medium-sized onion in relatively fine pieces. This is red, but you can use white. This is 1 carrot, and I've actually sliced it diagonally. This is because presentationally it will look much better once the dish is done, but of course you can chop it whichever way you like. Also, I'll be using a couple of cloves of garlic. In a similar fashion to the carrots, I've also sliced in long pieces diagonally a stick of celery, and I have removed though the strings, which can be very irritating, so I just kept them here so I can show you. Remove them before obviously you slice it. I am aiming to use fresh vegetables today. These are 300 grams of plum tomatoes, which I have halved, but also you can use cherry tomatoes, or indeed you can use canned tomatoes. I went outside in the rain and picked a sprig of rosemary, which I've chopped very finely. Here's my leftover gammon from yesterday, and I will be using some of these. Of course, if you're vegetarian or vegan, just skip it. And of course some olive oil to make the soffritto, and also at the end I will not be using any salt, as I said before, or indeed I will not be using any cheese today, because my gammon water is quite salty. But of course if you're vegetarian, you might want to add some pecorino or some Parmesan cheese if you like them. If you're vegan, do not use them, that will be just as delicious. So let's make a soffritto first, and I'll start everything from cold. I'll give my cloves of garlic a gentle crush with the blade of a knife, and I'll put them in the middle, followed by the onion, the celery and the carrots. On the hob, I'll start on a high setting, but I will soon turn it down onto medium, and I'll leave everything to sizzle for a good 4 to 5 minutes. The pasta we'll be using today is called bitaloni. I'll show you here on this camera. See, they look like big macaroni, or you can also use macaroni, or you can use conchiglie, which is the Italian for shells, or any short pasta that you like. I would though avoid using spaghetti or any long pasta like linguine. Not that it's the end of the world, but generally brothy meals like that, they go very well with short pasta. I've chopped my bacon in little cubes and I can add it all in now. Of course, if you're a meat eater, you do not have to make your own ham to cook this recipe. You can use pancetta, or you can use parma ham or bacon, or any pork-based product. For example, pork ribs chopped in little pieces, they go in very well as well. My beans are ready. They took 55 minutes to cook, and I will be adding to my soffritto and my gammon, but I'm also draining as much of the liquid as possible for the time being. And I'll mix everything together once again, and I'll leave it for another couple of minutes so that the stock from the beans will amalgamate everything together. We like our bean pasta to be fairly creamy, so I'm going to pinch a couple of ladles of the mixture, followed by half a ladle of my stock. Quantity wise, by the way, the beans, they were 300 grams when they were dry and 600 grams when they were soaked. So if you wish to use tin beans, you can obviously regulate accordingly, but do not throw the water away from the tin beans. You can use it as part of your stock. I always actually recycle it even if I don't cook beans. For example, if I do a salad, I always keep the water and then use it when I do something similar. And now that I've pinched a few beans for my cream, I can actually add my tomatoes. I'll turn the temperature down back to medium and I'll leave everything to now cook for about 3 to 4 minutes so that the tomatoes amalgamate with the beans, and then we can add the pasta. In the meantime, using a hand blender, I'll make a cream with the beans which I've taken out. And that will do me. Personal preferences, you can make this as rough or as smooth as you like. I made it very, very smooth today. So time to turn the temperature up here and I can add my pasta. But can you see all of this liquid at the bottom? Before I add any more stock, I'll wait until that has been absorbed by the pasta and then I'll start topping it up. The ditaloni have absorbed most of the water, and if you look, they're beginning to look fairly dry and they are screaming for more stock, and here it is. By the way, keep your stock boiling gently in the background, because as I add it to the pasta, what you don't want is to create a change in temperature, and you will definitely be confusing the pasta, so that they continue cooking at the same time. And I will continue like this, and I will top it up with stock as and when it dries up. I'll make sure that it doesn't get stuck to the bottom of the pan, as there is a risk to burn it. But I will add stock progressively because I don't want it to be too liquidy. If you want it to be more liquidy, clearly you can add a little bit more stock until the pasta is totally cooked. So the pasta is nearly ready, and I know that because I tested a piece, and this is when I'm going to be add my cream, and I will put it all in. And I'll mix it in, and this will give my pasta a lovely and lush creamy look. This is some of the chopped rosemary. I will add it now. I'll mix it in and I'll turn this off and I'll put the lid on, and whilst it's hot I will leave it now for about 2 to 3 minutes, and the rosemary will release all of its flavour, and then we can dish a portion. And I'm ready. Here is my lovely pasta fagioli, and let's take a look. See, consistency wise is perfect, just as we like it, nice and sloppy. If you've watched any of my other videos, you know what is coming, a drop of olive oil on top. It's quite amazing actually, because as soon as I put the olive oil on, as the dish is really hot, the flavour that comes up from the oil is absolutely wonderful. I have a confession to make to you. I did love my gammon and wedges yesterday, but ever since I've been looking forward to this one more. I have reserved a little rosemary which I'm going to sprinkle on the very top. And this is one of my dad's tricks, so I decided to adopt it today. I'm going to put a little amount of chili flakes at the top of mine. I won't bother with Julie because she doesn't like chili very much, so this is just for me. Time to test some, and I'll pinch a little piece of ham as well. Honestly, it's absolutely delicious. This is one of those dishes, vegetarian or non-vegetarian, which never disappoints me. There's only one thing missing. Oh, the chili is just kicked in. And the only thing missing is Sicily. Apart from that, it's just like being there. Honestly, you will love it. It's absolutely beautiful. Thank you for watching, and make it. You will fall in love with it. Arrivederci and ciao.